The Astonishing Power of Gratitude. How to Fix the 5 Big Mistakes That Keep You from Putting Gratitude to Work for You. By Wes Hopper, Horn Creek Productions. The Missing Link. There's a ton of information floating around about how to be successful, both online and offline. I'm sure you've heard about the need for a clear vision, a strong belief, a good understanding of human behavior, and the principles of influence and copywriting skills. If you're like me, you've probably got a $10,000 bookshelf full of material from Bob Proctor, Joe Vitale, Jim Rohn, Dan Kennedy, and many others. It's priceless, and I wouldn't trade my library for anything. But what happens when we feel like we're doing all that stuff in the books and tapes, at least to the best of our ability, and we're not really getting where we want to be? Is it possible that there is a missing link in our program for success? From what I've seen, there is a very common piece that gets left out. We get so busy doing that we neglect it. There are also some mental obstacles that get in the way. It's a simple idea, but it's not always easy, for reasons we're going to cover in this book. It's also one of the few things that Mom taught me about life that turned out to be true. Wes, she said, when you get something, say thank you. Of course, there's more to it than that, and Mom was only half right, but at least she was on the right track. Now wait a minute, you might say. I work my fingers to the bone on my business, and I've got the bony fingers to prove it. Who or what am I supposed to be saying thank you to, and why? We'll get to the who later on. But for the why, we have to look at the kind of universe we live in. We don't live in a universe of random chance or luck. We live in a universe that works by laws. Predictable, repeatable, understandable laws. The best program I've ever found on these laws is Wallace Wattles' book, The Science of Getting Rich. In it, he says this: there is a law of gratitude, and if you are able to get the results you seek, it is absolutely necessary that you should observe this law. There is a law of gratitude, and if you are to get the results you seek, it is absolutely necessary that you should observe this law. Now, what is this law of gratitude, and how does it work? Wattles goes on to tell us that it is an application of the law of cause and effect. The law of gratitude is the natural principle that action and reaction are always equal and in opposite directions. Here's what he means. We know that everything we put attention and emotional energy on, good or bad, will eventually show up in our lives. The universe and our subconscious mind don't know the good from bad, and they treat fear and enthusiasm exactly the same. If we're putting energy on it, we're placing an order for it. It's important, then, to be putting positive energy on what we want, not negative energy such as fear or worry on what we don't want. Gratitude is so important because it is a very high energy, positive vibration of thought. It is powerfully attractive. Wattles says it connects us with the source. You cannot exercise much power without gratitude because it is gratitude that keeps you connected with power. The creative power within us makes us into the image of that to which we give our attention. The grateful mind is constantly fixed upon the best, therefore, it will receive the best. Do you see what he is saying? If we are grateful about everything, we are focused on what we want. It's a way of making sure we are putting the highest possible positive energy on our desires, and withholding energy from the doubts and fears that we don't want. This is the reason that almost everyone who teaches about goals insists that you see your goal as already accomplished and that you be grateful for it now. It's a powerful way to be sure you're putting strong energy on the goal using gratitude. You'd think with gratitude so important that everyone would be conscious of it. But what I've noticed is that many people are actually pushing away the success they want without knowing it because they are violating this law. There are 5 key mistakes that keep people from being grateful. They all have to do with errors in our thinking and our beliefs, and these are what we are going to show you how to correct. We're going to start by looking at the question that Einstein said was the most important one that each person must answer for themselves. Einstein's question. Einstein suggested that the answer to this was very important. Is the universe friendly to our desires? It seems a little unusual that a scientist like Einstein would imply that the universe might have a bias about whether we succeed or not. However, I think he was asking us to decide if the universe was designed to make it easy for us or difficult. In other words, is there enough to go around? How we answer this question does make a big difference. After all, if there's a limited supply of stuff and lots of people want it, then life is difficult. Many people believe this way. We call it scarcity or lack thinking. It's hard to be grateful when there's not enough. This belief leads to competitive thinking, the idea that in order to get what you want, you have to take it away from someone else. This is a belief system that encourages fear and worry. Most sales training is based on this idea. So are all wars. How easy is it for anyone to be grateful when they think that the universe is designed to make things tough for them? Especially when their thinking keeps creating situations where they get to be right about how tough it is. Let me show you how abundant the universe really is. Both science and spirituality tell us that everything is made out of the same original stuff. Science calls it energy. So how much is there to make more of whatever we need? A recent scientific survey of the cosmos added up everything they could find and determined that only about 4% of the available energy was used to make the entire universe. There's 96% left over, or enough for 25 more universes. That seems pretty abundant to me. So let's choose a different way of thinking. We can see an abundant supply rather than scarcity. We can choose to create our success rather than compete for a limited supply. When we do this, we cease to be a victim of circumstances, and we begin to reclaim our power over our lives. Seeing the universe this way is the first step in the law of gratitude. Non-resistance. Non-resistance is one of the most misunderstood principles of success, and not practicing it keeps an awful lot of people out of gratitude. Non-resistance is simply taking the mental attitude that whatever is, just is, and we don't fight it. Most of us go through life with many beliefs in our mind about how things that are a certain way should be some other way. Don't get me wrong here. I'm not talking about simple stuff, like the car's in the driveway and it should be in the garage. If it is, go out and move it. What I'm talking about is usually the behavior of people and circumstances that we can't do anything about. We say to ourselves and others, "He shouldn't have done that," or "The car shouldn't have broken down here," or "She shouldn't have treated me like that," or "We should have won that contract." Sound familiar? It probably does. We've all done it. There are a couple of things to notice about this, though. First, notice that we are arguing with reality being the way it is. How successful are we likely to be with that? Second, notice the thoughts that go with this attitude. Someone or something has taken our stuff, be it money, success, love, respect, and we are victims. This is all based on not enough thinking. How are you going to find any gratitude in a pile of mental doo-doo like that? So this is where non-resistance is so important. Keep in mind that non-resistance does not mean you have to be a doormat for anyone. It only means that you don't argue with reality. What is, is. Instead of arguing, apply one of the universal laws, the law of opposites, or polarity. This law simply states that everything has two equal and opposite sides. Every situation that looks bad has an equal amount of good if you look for it. If you really understand this, it will change your life dramatically. So think about this carefully. Everything that happens just is, like two sides of a coin. It has a side that looks bad and a side that looks good. You get to choose. Whatever you call it, it becomes for you. Here's how you apply non-resistance in any situation. First, you remind yourself that the universe is friendly to you. There is a virtually infinite supply of everything you need. There is always enough money, customers, time, love, friends, etc., so that no situation can leave you without those things for long. You do not absolutely need that one. You can move on to the next. Next, you remind yourself that you get to decide what to call the situation, good or bad. You know the good is there, and yes, I know, it is sometimes hard to see when you're in the thick of it, but you do know it's there. In my life, the worst experiences that I have gone through have without exception eventually proved to be the greatest gifts. They were my teachers, and each one contained in it the seed of something astonishingly good for me. Took me a while to find it, sometimes, but it was always there. I've found that resistance, or calling it bad, increases the suffering and prolongs the experience. Putting the energy on the bad experience only creates more of it. The value of non-resistance is that it really speeds the process up and gets you to the good part faster. So find the good in the situation and be thankful for it. This shifts the energy to what you want and is the second step in the law of gratitude. I can't get no satisfaction. You can find success principles anywhere, even in classic rock and roll. Although I learned this concept from Bob Proctor, not Mick Jagger, this song title points to an important lesson about gratitude. You see, there is a fundamental difference between happiness and satisfaction, and we want to get happy, but we don't want to get satisfied. The difference between those two words is a concept that many people struggle with at first, because the words are used almost interchangeably, at least here in the USA. But it is vital to understand the difference. Satisfaction implies an acceptance of the status quo, being comfortable with the way things are. People can be satisfied without being grateful because they have just accepted things the way they are, even though it's not what they really want. Happiness, in contrast, implies a quality of mind, a state of joy and gratitude for what we have and what we are. It is, by definition, a very positive and attractive mental energy. Many people are satisfied but unhappy. I hate this crummy job, but it's the best I can do, so I'll stick it out until retirement. Whew, What a poor way to live. Satisfaction with the status quo puts a lid on that desire within you that always wants to grow, to expand, to be more, have more, experience more. When we get satisfied, we get stuck, stop growing, and start to rust. The place you want to be is happy and dissatisfied. In other words, to be thrilled with what you have, joyful, and grateful for your accomplishments and blessings, and at the same time enthusiastic about your ability to do even better. So our guy in the example above might better say, I am not satisfied with this job because I know I can do better. I am happy and grateful that I have it because it is giving me the opportunity to earn while I learn, and I am learning what I need to know to create the better job that I really want. Do you see the difference? Dissatisfied, but happy and grateful. When Bob Proctor talks about this, he makes the point that all progress in society and in our individual lives springs from dissatisfaction, the constant quest for a better way. Happiness, on the other hand, is the ability to look at the present and see it as good. If we decide that our happiness is coming in the future, then we don't have much to be grateful for now. We all hear people say, when I get the job, the raise, the relationship, the house, the success, then I'll be happy. Hey, I've got bad news for you, bucko. Now is the only time you've got. If you can't be happy now, you never will. Look at your life and find what works. Focus on that and see that you can be grateful for it. Everyone has something to be happy about. We know that what we focus on grows in our life. So what are you focusing on? What you have or what you don't have? Are you living in the future or the present? When you are grateful for what you already have, you open the channel for more to come. When we are able to practice living in the present and being grateful for what we have right now, blessing what we have mastered the third step in the law of gratitude. Anything but this. We're doing pretty well with this law of gratitude. We've got the friendly and abundant universe. We don't argue with what is. We find the good in everything, and we're happy and grateful right where we are. What more could we possibly need to do? Well, there are a couple of little things. The next one you might not like. I know I didn't. It took me a long time to understand this one. I hope you can get through it faster than I did. It's only one word: forgiveness. Forgiveness for everyone who ever did anything that you've been carrying a grudge about. The guy who cheated you in that business deal. The sister-in-law who never paid back the $50. The teacher that gave you the F that you didn't deserve. The ex-spouse who dragged you through the ugly and expensive divorce. Everyone. Anything. And here's how you can tell if you've really forgiven them. Can you genuinely wish them well? Are you grateful for them? Sorry, but half-baked, phony forgiveness won't do the job. You have to do this completely. Forgiveness is not something you do for the other person. It is something you do for yourself. We know that long-term resentment has nasty physical effects on your body. It can show up as migraines, or heart attacks, or cancer. Why would you want to hang on to that? Charles Fillmore points out that the first step in becoming free of debt is to release everyone from debts to us. This includes the emotional debts we call resentments. We cannot get what we aren't willing to give. In a cause and effect universe, every thought we plant comes back to us multiplied. Resentments are emotional bombs that always boomerang back on us, one way or another. For this reason, Every area of your life where you can't or won't forgive is a blockage in the flow of your success. The only way to unblock it is to be willing to release the person or situation with gratitude for what they brought you. Remember, the universe works by law, not by chance. There are no coincidences in the people that show up in our lives. And because the universe is friendly, they don't show up to punish us, but often to teach us. We can apply the law of opposites and know that there is a benefit, a learning, a gift, somewhere in that experience with that person. We can find that gift if we look, but sometimes we need to have some distance from the events to see it clearly. After all, whatever they did wasn't about us anyway. It was about them. When we reach the point that we can be truly grateful for them, when we can really wish them well, then we have cut the chains of resentment that tied them to us and we are free to move on. The last step in forgiveness has to do with ourselves. There is no escape from this step because we can't give love or support to others unless we can give it to ourselves first. We want to be grateful for everything. That means forgiving ourselves for all the supposed mistakes and imperfections in our life. We need to be able to love that person in the mirror. Don Miguel Ruiz expressed this idea much better than I can. When you look in the mirror and hate what you see, you need addictions to survive. If you don't like the main character in your story, then everything and everyone in it becomes a nightmare. But if you accept yourself 100%, then you trust yourself, and whatever you want to manifest in the world will happen. I can tell you from my own experience that just beginning the process of forgiving and expressing gratitude for everyone in your life and your past is an incredible gift to yourself. And it's the fulfillment of the fourth step in the law of gratitude. Get in the flow. Everything we have talked about so far has been about our thinking. There's a reason for that. Everything in this world we see begins with a thought. For years I've played the game of trying to change the results in my life without changing me or my thinking. Bob Proctor has called that the cycle of doom. The only way we can make any real changes is to start with the thinking part. The mistake some people make is they stop at that point. But effective change always shows up in our actions. So how does a grateful person, one who has worked through the first 4 steps of the law of gratitude, act? It's really simple. They give. They give money, time, support, encouragement, everything. Because they are grateful for what they have, they give it away. Because they know that they live in an abundant, friendly, cause and effect universe. They know that by giving, they make receiving possible. If you really want to understand the power of giving, you have to look at everything you have, not as stuff, but as evidence of a flowing current, a river of abundance. When you give, you are demonstrating your confidence in that abundance and your gratitude for it. You are making room for more to come. You know what they call a lake with water coming in, but with no outlet? The Dead Sea. By giving gratefully and continuously, you place yourself squarely in the flow of life and become both an inlet and an outlet for the abundant universe to work through. For 100 pages of stories about how this works, get Dr. Joe Vitale's incredible little book, The Greatest Money-Making Secret in History. You will love these personal stories from well-known people about how they learned the power of giving. I especially like the story of Percy Ross, who gave away money. Starting with $2 million, he wrote as many as 120 checks per week. In 17 years, he gave away 30 million. But wait a minute, where did the extra 28 million come from? Think about it. He was in the flow. Let me give you a couple of examples of my own. These illustrate the principle that we often get paid back in whatever it is that we give. In my business, since I deal in information, I use books as giveaways. I have friends in Phoenix who wrote a wonderful little book about thinking called As You Wish. I sell it on my website at www.horncreek.com. And I have also given away almost 200 copies. I also love a book that Dr. Joe Vitale wrote called Spiritual Marketing, and I bought 100 copies for giveaways too. So what is the result? People are always giving us books. Before we left Phoenix, one of my wife's coworkers gave us 3 big boxes of metaphysical books and tapes, over 150 items. Last month, I mentioned a particular author that I was interested in to some folks here, and within a week was surprised with a full set of his books. It's hard for me to give books away faster than they come back. Another example. In my seminars, I have never let money keep anyone out who is really motivated to learn. I have done this without any expectation of return. Some people have eventually paid me. Some have not. I don't care. Either way, I know it will come back to me. Imagine my delight when we got to Kansas City, where my wife is going to school, and I found out that as a spouse I could attend and participate in her communications or speaking class, and all the special events and guest speaker workshops along with the students. That's access to information that the students are paying thousands of dollars in tuition for, free. Isn't that astonishing? We do get paid back in the currency we use. So if you need money, give money. If you need time, give time. If you need books, give me some books. By taking the action of giving, you demonstrate your gratitude for what you have, and this completes the 5th and last step in the law of gratitude. What's next? Now that you've read the book, are you ready to put gratitude to work for you? If so, this means that you're going to have to do the 5 steps, not put this book away in a file or lose it on your hard drive. Here's an exercise for you to do. I recommend that you do it daily for the next month to get these new habits in your brain. Take a sheet of paper and fill the paper with things you are grateful for. Make sure you have at least 25 to 30 items, and that you have a few items from every area of your life. Include your finances, health, career, relationships, toys, recreation, and anything else you can think of. Stop right here and do this before you go on. How was that? Did you have any problem coming up with enough items? A short list means that you have a lot of things in your life that you have not applied the law of opposites to. These are things that you don't like the way they are. Here's part 2 of this exercise. No matter how many or how few you had on your first list, this exercise is designed to reveal areas where you need to apply the first 4 steps of the law of gratitude. Take another sheet of paper and make another gratitude list with items from all areas of your life. But for this list, start with things you don't like. Look at your boss with the bad attitude, your car that won't start, your volcanic teenage stepdaughter, your ex, the IRS, the pimple on your nose that won't go away, the bills that keep coming. For example, using my sample list, you might be grateful that you have a job and a car, for your new parenting skills, your new insights into relationships, the income you have to pay taxes on, a healthy body, and the benefits of the merchandise and services represented by the bills. Get the idea? Whatever it is for you, start with these kinds of items. Find something to be grateful for and write it down. Fill the paper with these gratitude statements. Stop. You can't skip this exercise and go on. Don't read anymore until you have finished. Now, how was that? Did you finish? You may have felt a lot of resistance to some of the people or conditions on that list. That resistance is making it difficult for you to get what you want in life. Take a look at the items that bothered you and decide which of the first 4 steps needs to be applied to them. Go to work on it. Something else you can do is keep track of what you give. Every day, find some way to give somebody something, to share what you have. If there is something you feel you don't have enough of, give that. Be a confident, courageous, cheerful, and enthusiastic giver, and watch what happens. Now to cover one last item. Back at the beginning, I told you that we would answer the question of who you're being grateful to, and why. I think we pretty well covered the answer of why. Gratitude, we have shown, is one of the most powerful attractors of what we want. As for the who to be thankful to, you may already have your own answer. In fact, you don't really need a who. But if you'd like a list to choose from, I'll give you one from Wallace Wattles, the author of The Science of Getting Rich. In his book, he uses these names and terms interchangeably: energy, power, infinite, creative power, supreme intelligence, thinking stuff, original substance, formless intelligence, source, universe, intelligent substance, nature, one living substance, Father, and of course, God. There are many other names you can use too, so pick one that resonates with you. I can assure you, it doesn't matter what you call it, just be grateful that we live in a friendly universe. If you'd like to share your experiences with putting gratitude to work, or to ask questions about any of these ideas, you can do so at the website www.dailygratitude.com. We'll be posting the best stories there as they come in. Send your friends there to read the comments and get their copy of this ebook. Thank you.